Hello and welcome to our SmartSuite-Library new user training. My name is Quentin and today I'm going to be your host in the training session. We are live, we're coming to you from beautiful Brisbane today. So if you do have any questions, make sure that you do post them to the chat panel on the right of your screen. I'll be monitoring all those questions that are coming through. If I need to stop and go through any questions, I will do that to the best of my ability. So without further ado, let's jump into what are we going to be covering in the session today. Well, it's going to be all library, all SmartSuite-Library. So what do I need to do before I get started with SmartSuite? The basics of using the system, and then how do I communicate with our customer service team members if I've got any questions. So stick around to find out about all of those things, and we're going to jump into it right now. Let me just share my screen with everyone. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is what do I need to do with the system before I get started with SmartSuite-Library. Well, number one is we need to set up the system so that we can start importing information from SCIS. Okay, now we don't do that. There's two parts. The first part we don't do in SmartSuite. We actually go directly to SCIS. Okay, so in your browser, what we want you to do is to open up Google. And in the Google search, we want you to type SCIS Z3950. Okay, the first article there is how do I set up Z3950? There's going to be a whole bunch of information in there as to how to set that up. So in your library management system, we need to make sure that the following details are in there. Okay, we also need to make sure that our SCIS account has the Z3950 information heading set up. Okay, so this is the first thing that we need to do. We need to log into SCIS and we need to verify that we can see the Z3950 information heading. If you cannot, you need to contact SCIS and have them enable that function for you. Without that function, it means that SmartSuite-Library cannot communicate with the SCIS database and it cannot import all of those valuable resource records into your system. Okay, so follow those instructions there. Contact them if you can't see that heading in your SCIS profile and ask them to activate that Z3950 heading on your system. Now what they'll do is they will send you an email back. That email is going to say, hey, you've been set up. Here are the details to log into your or set up this information into your library management system, and it will list all these details here. Okay, now we've gone through and set up most of them for you, but all you will need to do is to enter the username and password back into SmartSuite-Library. Okay, so step one, contact SCIS and ask them to activate your Z3950 heading. Step two is now go back into SmartSuite-Library and set up your SCIS username and password in the system. Okay, so we're going to head back over to SmartSuite now. Now, everybody should have received a welcome letter. Now, the welcome letter is going to contain the URL for your school's specific instance. It will have your personal username to log onto the system, and it will have instructions on how to set up your password so that you can log into the system. If you haven't received that, flick us an email, support@librarysolutions.com.au. Let us know that you haven't received it, and our customer service team will get on that for you. Okay, if you do have it, go to your site via clicking on that URL or navigating to that URL. Top right hand corner of the screen, you have the sign in button. It's going to ask you for your username and password. Username should be your school email address. Okay, and then obviously enter your password. Okay, once you are logged into the system, we now need to go and enter our username and password for SCIS. So where we do that is System menu, top left-hand corner, Catalog, and then Global Catalog. Global Catalog is where we do all of our importing from not only the SCIS database, but all the other Z3950 databases that we can integrate and connect with. Okay, if we're dealing specifically with SCIS though, bottom right hand corner in the toolbar, you've got configuration. Click on that up arrow, and then from that menu, select Z3950 database. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we have gone and entered all of those SCIS server details directly into the system for you. So all you need to do, enter the SCIS username that you received in that confirmation email from SCIS, followed by your password, and then click update. Okay, as soon as you do that, it's stored that information. You can now start importing information from SCIS. Okay, so number one, things to do before I get started with SmartSuite-Library, set up the integration between SCIS and my library database. Okay, and they're the steps that we've just covered so far. Can't see any questions coming through the console, so I'm going to keep running through it. The next thing that we need to do before we get started with SmartSuite-Library is setting up which spine label we would like to use when we're cataloging new books into the system. So on the same page, Global Catalog, we're going to go down to the configuration menu. We're going to click Default Spine Label. And then from the list, we are going to select the spine label type and model that we are using. So if it's the Avery L7651, select that. If it's Reiko 12601, select that. Once we've selected the correct label, click Save. Okay, and that's going to save that label into the system as a default, so that all we need to do is just import the books, click Print, and it spits them out to the computer, to the printer for us. Okay, so they are the three things that we need to do. Number one, we need to make sure on our SCIS account that we can see that Z3950 heading. Okay, if we can't, we need to contact them and we need to ask them to have that enabled. Number two, we need to come back to SmartSuite-Library and enter our username and password for SCIS into the global cataloging system. And number three, we need to go ahead and set up our default spine labels. Okay, once we've done that, we're now ready to start using SmartSuite-Library. Okay, we can start circulating, cataloging, adding users into the system. Okay, before we jump on to how do I get to the basics, how do I use cataloging and circulation, what I want to point out quickly is that every single administration page across the system has what we refer to as the toolbar. So if you're ever looking at our instructions, or if you're talking to one of our technicians and they say, okay, in the toolbar, can you click this for me? What we're referring to is this little part of the screen at the bottom. Okay, this area here on every one of our admin pages controls the different features and functions that you can do on this particular page. So for example, on Global Catalog, we've got in the toolbar the ability to upload a mark file. We've got access to the configuration menu. We've got the ability to send our spine labels to the printer, and we've got various other functions that we can control. If I head over to Patron Management, okay, all the functions that I can perform on the Patron Management window is now available in that toolbar at the bottom of the screen. So I've got the ability to navigate through my users. I can search for a particular user. Okay, I can add a new one, I can save, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so if we're ever referring to the toolbar, that's what it is. It's that little area at the bottom of the screen that allows us to click on and perform a function for that particular module that we are loaded into. Okay, so whilst we're in the Patron Management screen, let's go and have a look at how we can manage our users. So how did I get to this screen first of all? Well, I went to System menu. I went to my Patron menu and I selected Patron Management. Now this is where we go to add new users one at a time, to change the information of existing users. We might have a teacher that got married and they've changed their surname, so we can go in and modify their profile in here. And it's where we also go to delete users one at a time. So everything that we're doing in the training today is going to be on the premise that we've already set up the collection for you. So we don't need to do any bulk importing. We don't need to do any bulk deleting of users. So we're going to be talking specifically about, we've got a student come up to the desk. They're brand new. We haven't done an import yet. The system hasn't synced with our learning management system. So we just need to add their details in ad hoc. Okay, so if that happens, we come to patron management. Down the bottom of the screen, we have a new button. Click on that, everything goes blank, and all we need to do is basically start typing. Okay, barcode, first name, class grade, and homeroom are all mandatory fields. If we try and save a record without that information, system is going to prompt us and say you need to fill this in. Okay, with the barcode, we recommend using the enrollment ID or student ID, and this just makes sure that there's one identifier for your students between all the systems around your school. Okay, so enter that information in. If you don't know it, enter a dummy barcode and come back after they have been added and circulated a few books and make sure that you do put that enrollment ID into the system. Okay, if you don't, when the sync goes through or when we do that bulk import later on, we risk duplicating the users. Okay, it's not an issue if that does happen, but it'll just save you a few minutes worth of work trying to merge them later on. Okay, so we do our barcode, first name, surname. Okay, if we're a single sign-on site where we're using Active Directory usernames, make sure that we put that information in here as well. Email address. Okay, so this user will have the ability to receive automated overdue emails and reviews and whatnot from the system. Okay, don't worry about security, that will get built automatically when we select the correct year level. Homeroom. Okay, and once we've done that, we can go ahead and hit save. If we want to, we can go through the other tabs and we can enter in the address and parent information, but it's not mandatory. You'll also see down in the toolbar, before I hit save, there is an option here that's enabled by default, which is email login. Now what this is going to do is if you leave it ticked, when I hit save, it's going to flick off an email to this user saying, hey, welcome to SmartSuite-Library. Here is the URL to log on to the system. Here is your username and here's instructions to set up a password. Okay, if you don't want that to happen, all you need to do, deselect email login and hit save. Okay, if we leave that ticked, system, I've already created this user once before, so I'm just going to ignore that. System is going to create a password for me. Password is not set, it's going to generate a random one. So I go okay, creates that password for the user, flicks that email off to them and says here's instructions on how to log in for the first time. Okay, so nice and easy. That user will now be able to go back to their computer, their tablet, their mobile phone, log in for the first time, check their loans, check their overdues, make some reservations, put some reviews into the system and start interacting with your library. Okay, if we're adding a teacher, the process is identical. Click new, enter their information in. Okay, but before you hit save, you need to make sure that you change the role. Okay, a role of student is the lowest security or the lowest role that is available through the SmartSuite-Library system. This will allow this user to search for resources that are in your collection, and it will allow them to reserve and maybe put some reviews in if you've enabled those widgets. Okay, if you are a TV for Education user, that teacher will not be able to search for any of the TV for Education resources that are available. They also won't be able to make any requests through the TV for Education requests facility. And if you're not a TV for Education user, but you are wanting your teachers to take advantage of the free lesson builder, they will not be able to access smart classrooms without elevating their role from a student. Okay, so if you are dealing with a teacher, all you need to do, click cross to remove that student role. Click on that field again, which will bring up all of the roles that are available within the system. Select teacher, and then click save. Okay, this user has now just been elevated. When they log into the system, they'll now have access to search TV for Ed, create lessons using smart classrooms, put in requests, collaborate with other teachers on lessons, and a whole bunch of other teacher tools that are in the system. Okay, so make sure that we do go and give those privileges to teachers. Editing user profiles, pretty self-explanatory. In the toolbar, look up that person that you want to change the information for, put your cursor into the relevant field, make the changes and hit save. Okay, if you're wanting to change roles, all you need to do, remove the existing role that's there, and then tell the system, hey, this person is now a circulation user. Okay, so when they log in, they will be able to search, review, reserve items, but they'll also be able to circulate on behalf of the rest of the school. Okay, select it and then click save. Nice and easy. If this user no longer exists at our school, we just want to remove them, purge them off the system, just to clear the database, keep it nice and clean. If we're a TV for Education school, to keep in line with TV for Education terms and conditions and screen rights license, we want to make sure they no longer have access to any of the material that's within our database. All you need to do is delete them. Again, click on find the user, and then click delete. It's going to give you a confirmation. Are you really sure? Yes, I am. That gets rid of that user for us. If this user has any books that are currently on loan, system is going to block you from deleting. Okay, so you need to head over to circulation, mark those books as lost, and then come back in and delete the user. Okay, so managing your user profiles, pretty simple. All we need to do is remember patron management, and then all the features and functions that we can do on that screen is accessed through the toolbar at the bottom of the screen. Okay, the next thing we're going to have a look at is our catalog of books. So we've had a look at the catalog of our users and how we're going to manage that. We now want to have a look at the books and the assets and the laptops and iPads. How do we manage those? Well, we do that through System Menu, Catalog, and then Catalog again. Okay, now again, we're going to be dealing with the catalog from the point of view of original cataloging. So we're going to talk about SCIS importing in a moment. In this session right here, right now for the next 10 minutes, we're just going to be looking at original cataloging, managing and deleting books. Okay, so when we first come to the system, it's going to open up on the last record that we were working on. Okay, if we wanted to search for a particular resource, down the bottom we click find, put in our search terms, subject, author, title, keywords, whatever we want. Select the title that we want to view. Okay, and that record comes up. From here, we can go through the tabs. We can have a look at all the copies that are associated with this individual title. We can have a look at the subjects that have been assigned to it. We can see any notations that have been catalogued against it. All we need to do is just click on the relevant tab and view the information that's sitting behind it. If we're wanting to catalog a brand new title into the system, down the bottom we have the new button. Click on new. Just like patron management, everything goes blank, and it's up to us to start typing that information in. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Lollies. Okay, we can then take our scanner and we can scan the ISBN. Okay, this little icon here, if we scan the ISBN and then click that icon, it's going to do a quick search through all of the databases that the system has been connected with. So that's SCIS, Open Libraries Australia, Library of Congress, if you've set those databases up. And it's going to see whether results for that ISBN exist. If it does, it's going to import those directly into the system for you, so you don't need to worry about continuing on and manually cataloging. Okay, if it doesn't find anything, you'll then need to continue with adding that information in manually. Okay, put your cursor in the field, tell the system the call number, the edition information, collation, the media type. Okay, again, you don't have to enter all the information in on the screen. Mandatory fields are title and media type. Okay, if you try and save without having those mandatory fields, system will prompt you and say, please enter a title, please enter a media type to save. Okay, if you're happy with that information there, we want to add some additional search terms. We can go over to subjects, put a cursor in there, and start typing. So we want to add something from fiction, betrayal, from wizards, and perhaps we wanted to add our own subject that may not already be in the list. Okay, so all we need to do is type what we want to appear in the subjects, and then click that plus symbol. Now we have to be really aware of what's happening now, because all the capitalization, punctuation, spelling, grammar that is currently in this field is going to be saved into the database. So if we don't want fantasy to be capitalized, we want that to be lowercase f, we need to make sure that we enter that exactly the way that we want it to appear in the future in the database. Okay, if we don't, even if we do correct it in a future cataloging session through the cataloging module, it's going to appear as it appears right now. Okay, you do have the ability to make changes through the authority file manager and tidy that up after the fact, but it's good practice just to have a look now and say, is that the way that I want it to appear? Do I want an apostrophe? Do I want a hyphenation? Whatever. If we're happy with it, then we can go okay. Okay, so once we do that, we can go through and add our series and our authors, etc. Again, on all of these fields, when you click to add a new record, you do have the ability to add that a new authority file, just the way that we've added a new subject. Go through and enter in all your information. When you've finished cataloging, down the bottom in the toolbar, you've got save. Okay, that has now successfully added Harry Potter and the Chamber of Lollies directly into the collection for us. Okay, so we've gone ahead and added that title record. So that title record contains all the information that's linked to that ISBN, so our subjects, notations, etc. We now want to tell the system the barcode of the copies that we have and where those copies are going to be located. So we head over to our copy tab. Anything that is highlighted in the light blue under copies is where we go to add a new record into the system. Okay, so the system's highlighting that in light blue to say, put your information in here and I'll save it to the system for you. Okay, so if I click on plus to expand that, we can see all the information that we can enter for a brand new copy record. Put my cursor in here. There's my barcode. Copy number 1 has already been generated for me. It's going into the system with a copy status of available. It's going to the primary library in the fiction sublocation. It's going to be loaned for a fortnight. Accession today. I don't do accession numbers in my library, so I'm not going to worry about that. Bunnings was not the supplier. It was actually ACP Publishing. Cost center, we're not going to worry about it today. Cost me $45. Replacement cost is $65 because of admin costs. And then I can click save. Okay, system has saved that into the database for me. It's now highlighted it in gray. Anything that's saved is an alternating color of gray and white. Okay, so grey and white is saved into the database already. Highlighted in blue is start typing information in me, and I'll save that into the system for you. Okay, so we've entered copy number 1. We now have 2 other copies. Okay, instead of going through and manually typing all that information into that highlighted blue section, we can expand copy number 1 by clicking that down arrow. And then we can click the duplicate button. This is going to take all that information from copy number 1, throw that into copy number 2. All we need to do is change the barcode. The copy number's automatically been generated. All the other information is the same. That's correct. Click on save. And that saved it into the database for us. Okay, we can do that process again. This time it's going into the admin building with a different line type and renew type, and we can save that in. Okay, so we've now successfully added the title record and 3 copies that are associated with it. Okay, nice and easy. If we ever need to make any changes, just like in Patron Management, we either go to the correct tab, so our series information, authors, subjects, and change the information in here, or we can go to our copies, locate the copy that we want to modify. So let's say that we want to move copy number 2 to a different location. Okay, so expand copy number 2 so we can see all that information, change the fields that we want to change, and then click save down the bottom. Okay, so adding information in is really just finding the right field, clicking on it, changing the information, and hitting save. Okay, if we do make some changes and we forget to hit save, when we try to navigate to a different module, the system is going to prompt us and say, hey, you haven't finished your cataloging. Do you want to save before you lose your work? Okay, and that will be a pop-up that appears if we're part way through our cataloging process. One little helpful hint, I'm just coming back to the catalog again, one little helpful hint that we can do is under our copy section, okay, let's say that we're having a look through our copies that are currently available for this system here. Let me just find, sorry, bear with me one moment. All right, let me just borrow this book to myself quickly. Sorry everyone, I'm just wanting to show you through the catalog how we can see who has a book currently on loan. So I'm just going to borrow this to myself. Okay, we're going to come back and talk about circulation in a minute. Okay, but let's say that we've opened up the cataloging system, we've come to our copies, and we go, okay, I can see that all of our books are either available or lost, but copy number 4 here is currently on loan. These books should have all been returned because it's end of term, end of semester. We're collecting them so we can check for damage and send the invoices out to the parents if need be. Okay, so how do we deal with that? How do we know who has this copy on loan? Well, the first thing we need to do is expand that copy. Okay, down the bottom, we then see some extra information that we haven't seen before. First part of it says it's on loan to, and we've got first name, surname. So my demonstration user is just called LibLib, okay, but this would be Quentin Fernandez. Okay, where it says Melbourne Events and 8A, that is the year level and the homeroom. So you would see Quentin Fernandez, year 8 in form 8A. We can see when it was due, So the date that this was due was the 22nd of December 2020. And as of today, it is 128 days overdue. If this book was online within the due date, instead of the instead of the date appearing in red, it will appear in blue. And the last field there, instead of it saying days until due, will say, instead of it being a negative number, it'll be a positive number. So it'll say it is going to be due in 7 days. If for whatever reason you want to collect that book either early or you want to send a reminder that this book is overdue, all you need to do is click on that envelope. That's going to create a report and flick that off to the user to say, hey, this book is either overdue, return it now, or this book is due in 7 days, please make sure that you return it on time. Okay, so it's a nice little handy feature for you to use when you're trying to find who has a book on loan when you're in the catalog system. So you don't need to go over to circulation to find that out. You don't need to run off a report. You can do it directly from the screen. Okay, if I head back over to my chamber of lollies, let's say that we picked up that book. Wrong one. You can tell I've used this a few times. Okay, let's say that we've picked up a book, it's really badly damaged, it's damaged beyond repair, and we just want to remove it from the system. Okay, down the bottom in the toolbar, we have a delete title option. And then within the copies, we also have a delete option when you expand an individual copy. Make sure that you know what they do before you click them. Okay, the one in the toolbar at the bottom of the screen is going to delete the title and all the copies that are associated with that title. So if you've got 123 textbooks and you use delete title, it's going to remove 123 resources from the collection. Okay, it's good if you're weeding an old title, not so good if you're just wanting to delete an individual copy. Okay, so if you are wanting to delete an individual copy, do what I did just then, which is expand the copy in question, click delete, and it's going to give you a confirmation. Are you sure that you're wanting to delete this particular copy barcode? If you go OK, it removes copy number 2, puts that into the archive, and it's no longer available through OPAC, circulation, or catalog. If you're wanting to remove the title and all the copies, because it's an old book, we're just wanting to refresh the collection, click delete title in the toolbar. If I try and click confirm, system's not allowing me to do so. It is a 3-step process. Number 1, click delete title. Number 2, type yes into the confirmation field, and then click confirm. Okay, and we've done that purposefully just to make sure that you accidentally don't go and remove those 123 copies. Okay. So that's the basics of the cataloging system. If we're wanting to do importing of resources from SCIS, how do I do that? We're going to have a look at that in a moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give everyone a couple of seconds just to collect yourselves. If you've got any questions for me, chuck them over into the chat console there. I'm looking at it right now. I'll give you a few moments to absorb what we've just said, and then we'll jump into cataloging from SCIS. Okay, so no questions have come through. So let's jump in and have a look at importing from SCIS. So where we need to go to start off with, menu, catalog, global catalog. Okay, because we made some changes to the system, to that record, there's that error message I was talking about before. Changes that you have made may not be saved. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave anyways. Okay, so the way that global cataloging works is we need to work from the left to the right of the system. Whenever we put in an ISBN into global catalog, it's going to go out to SCIS or Open Libraries Australia, whoever we're connected with, and it's going to import that information into the database for us. Now, when it does that, it's also going to assign a copy record to that title. But the system doesn't know for your particular library where you want this book to be located, how many days you want it to be loaned for, if there's any renewal period, what the cost is, etc., etc. So what you need to do is on the left-hand side, before you scan any ISBNs, you need to tell the system all of that information first. So I'm going to say to the system, I'm about to scan a barcode. An ISBN. The security is going to be 0. It's going to go into our counseling collection, into the audio sublocation. This resource can be loaned out for 1 week at a time. There is no renew period. Copy status is going to be available. Cost center, blended learning, etc., etc. Once we've filled out all that information, we can then put our cursor into the top field there. We can scan the ISBN of the book. As soon as we scan the ISBN of that book, it's then going to ask us for a barcode, so we then scan the barcode. And it puts the cursor automatically back into the ISBN field. So if we have a number of resources that are all going into the same copy information, what we can do is create a pile, grab our first one, scan the ISBN, scan the barcode, put that down. Grab the next book, ISBN barcode, next book, ISBN barcode, so on and so forth. So there's nothing that we need to do with the cursor, there's no upload button, there's no finish now, send now, whatever. All we need to do, scan the ISBN barcode, ISBN barcode, ISBN barcode. When the copy information changes, so we've now done all the counseling resources, we're up to the fiction novel collection. We then make those changes to the left-hand side of the screen and then continue ISBN barcode, ISBN barcode. Okay, as you go through and process that, the system is going to try and import that information directly. So again, there's no finish, upload, start button. System's going to work through that as soon as you scan those ISBNs and barcodes. Okay, if it was successfully imported into the system, the barcode has been assigned, you will have a green import completed message. If there were any errors, it's going to be highlighted in red, and the reason for the error is going to be listed inside of that red toolbar. So it might be something like this barcode has already been used once before, the ISBN that you presented is not found in any of the database sources. Okay, and if it's orange, it's telling you that it's still trying to process, it's still trying to import the record, still trying to create that copy for you. Okay, if that green toolbar message has listed for all of those resources, what it's telling you is number one, it has successfully imported the record from your SCIS database or your Open Libraries Australia database. It has successfully set up a copy record with all the information on the left-hand side of the screen, and it has successfully assigned the barcode that you have scanned against it. So there's nothing else that you need to do from the point of adding that resource into your collection. If you're wanting to now go ahead and print those spine labels for everything that has a green successful message, all that you need to do is click on print from the toolbar. That's going to grab all those barcodes and send it off to the spine label report. It's going to load all the call numbers onto the correct label that we set up at the beginning of the training session. Okay, in my example here, I don't have the correct labels there. Okay, but it would give me a preview in this area of the screen. If I wanted to, I have the ability to tell the system I've already used this sheet of barcodes before. Okay, so it's not a clean report with, a clean sheet. We've already used 13 labels from this sheet in a previous session. All we need to do is count them. So we go left to right and then up, top to bottom. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We count how many blank labels there are, and we put that into that field there. And what that is going to tell the system is when I click generate, it's going to move our labels to start printing from label number 15. Okay, so enter how many blank labels you have. From there, click on print and export. That's going to download a PDF file to your computer. Okay, now it's very important at this step that you do not just click and open up the report in another browser tab. Okay, you need to physically go to File Explorer or Finder on a Mac and open up that report in an Adobe or in a PDF viewer, not your internet browser. Now the reason behind that is all the internet browsers around nowadays like to apply their own settings to all of the documents that are being printed. So everything that we've done to format all your spine labels to correctly print on the label that you have specified are going to be put out by the Internet Explorer or the Chrome or Safari parameters. So they might do something like add a 2mm margin on each side of your document, and that's going to push all of your labels out by a minimum of 2mm. And as it progresses, it's going to get worse and worse along the labels. So you need to make sure that you do not print from within your browser. You go to Finder and you open up that document in a PDF viewer. Okay, so we've gone through adding users, we've gone through cataloging, and we've gone through global cataloging. The last thing that we're going to be doing for this particular user training session is going through our circulation. So under our system menu, we've got circulation and we've got the full circulation option. Okay, with circulation, there are two modes. We've obviously got the loan and then we've got the return mode. These are controlled by the tab at the top of the screen. We've also color coordinated the screen. So if you see a blue background, it's telling you that you are on the loan mode. If you click return, the background goes orange and you're now on the return mode. Okay, so first thing you need to do is just to make sure that you're on the correct mode for circulation. If you're loaning books, put your cursor into that top field and either scan the barcode of the user or type in a first or surname for that user. Okay, so if I was to go and type in a couple of letters, it's going to bring up all the users in my system that have QUE as part of their first or surname. If I select a user, it's going to go through and do a whole bunch of validation checks for me. So it's telling me that this user has expired in the system, they've exceeded the final borrowing dates, and they've got 2 overdues. Okay, if I'm still happy with that, I know that they're pretty good as a borrower. I can go okay and override that. If I don't want to, I can click cancel and move on to the next user. This area here, the main area of this circulation module, is going to tell us all the books that are currently on loan to the user. If they are highlighted in red, currently on loan and currently overdue. If they are an alternating white and blue color, it's telling us that they are on loan and within the due date. And if they're highlighted in orange, I believe it is, it's telling us that that resource is due today. So we highlight that so that if you are about to borrow additional resources to that user, you can stop them and say, hey, this book was meant to be due today. It's going to be overdue tomorrow. Please return it before you take these additional 3 books. Okay, and that'll be highlighted on the screen for you. If we're wanting to continue borrowing with this user, same field, we don't need to click anything with the mouse. All we do is start scanning those books. Okay, any error messages that we've assigned to this book comes up, we can override them and continue circulating. Okay, now one very important feature of circulation that you need to be aware of is the last circulated function. Okay, so let's say that we have a teacher, we're madly going through and going scan, trying to borrow these resources to them. We get disrupted with a student that's mucking about, so we deal with that. We come back to the pile and we go, oh shivers, where am I up to? All we need to do is look at the screen and view which copy is currently expanded. So you can see that these 2 resources here, they are collapsed, and this PAT Maths Teacher Materials resource, barcode number 22, is expanded on the screen. That's telling us that that was the last barcode that we circulated in the system. So if I now go ahead and scan in a new book, that's going to collapse Maths Teacher Resources, and it's going to expand barcode number 33. If I scan the next one, same thing is going to happen. It now collapses Coaching Netball and expands Super Bowl NFL. Okay, so it's a nice handy feature that if we do get disrupted, it's going to show on the screen the most prominent area on the screen, which is the last barcode that we circulated. Okay, and again, if we have scanned a book and it's within their due date, or sorry, this person has loaned a book, it's within their due date, there's that alternating color scheme, white and blue, red is overdue, orange is due back today. If we're wanting to return any books, go to the return mode and madly start scanning all of our books. Any error messages for the user is going to come up. And again, that last circulated book option, feature is going to expand the most recently scanned resource. Okay, as soon as we scan another book, if I can find a barcode here quickly, it's going to collapse the previously recently scanned and show me that one in the full expanded view. Okay, so as far as circulation goes, the hardest thing about this screen is just remembering to select the correct loan or return mode. Okay, and that's about it from the point of view of a new user training for SmartSuite-Library. The last thing I want to go through with everyone today is, now that I've had the basics of how do I get started with SmartSuite-Library, I've got some questions. I've got a couple of issues. I've got data conversion related issues. I can't remember whether my bulk import for all of my users have been set up correctly. I need to communicate with someone. How do I go about doing that? Well, number one, if you are a new school that's using SmartSuite-Library, you have access to our Concierge Service. This is a new initiative by the FSI customer service team members where you have a direct line of contact to our technicians to ask those questions and get them solved as quickly as possible. So it's a fast track option. All you need to do, bottom right hand side of every single screen of SmartSuite-Library is a little chat icon. If you click on that, it opens up a direct line of communication with our customer service team members. You can ask whatever questions you want, and you're not dealing with an automated robot. You're actually dealing with Donald, our customer service manager, and his team. So physical people on the other end, both from our Melbourne and Brisbane offices, and they're going to help you out with articles, with setting you up for one of our user training sessions that are coming up in the future, or any other questions that you may have. Okay, so that's the first line of communication. The second way that you can communicate with us is under the system menu, you have a support button. In that menu, there is contact support. Now this is going to take you over to our mailbox where you can submit support tickets to our customer service team members. So perhaps the query that you have is not something that needs to be solved straight away. It's something that you've got in the back of your mind. You just want to log it so you don't forget. Okay, if you've got data conversion issues, data's out of place in the wrong fields, this is where you submit them. Okay, on the left-hand side, here are all the previously submitted questions that you have sent off to our customer service team members and the responses that they have sent back to you. If we want to go ahead and create a brand new ticket, click Create Ticket, enter in a subject so that we can track that amongst all the other queries that you have with us. In the CC field, these are just options. So unless it's selected, it's not actually going to CC those individuals. And then type your message. Hey guys, can I please have instructions for bulk importing users? Okay, if you've got any examples that you're wanting to add in, you can upload those video files or images or Excel spreadsheets, and then you flick that off to our customer service team members. Okay, just make sure that you pay attention to the status. If the customer service team members have successfully answered that query for you, there will be a close option here. Click on that just so that we're not chasing you for a response for an open ticket. Okay, so that's contact support. You've got access to search all of our help articles. So if you click on that, that's going to take you to the library of all of the articles and videos that are available. Bulk importing patrons. Okay, and there's the article for all of those features and facilities that are available throughout SmartSuite. You've got training videos. Okay, so if you are someone who likes to watch videos instead of articles, make sure that you do subscribe to our YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on training videos under support. If you're not already subscribed, it's going to pop up and say, do you want to subscribe now? Click subscribe and also hit the bell to make sure that you receive notifications of when we upload new videos. Okay, so things like new releases, how do we use new features, if there's advanced features that we wanted to promote to our users, you'll get notifications of all of those. Upcoming training events, upcoming PD events, upcoming promotional events, you'll get notifications of all of that. Okay, every week through the YouTube channel, we are doing a minimum of 5 YouTube live events, and that's catering for library right across the TV for education, administrators right across to teachers. Okay, so if you're wanting your teachers to get upskilled in how to do circulation, how to do TV for education features, we have events that are loaded in specifically for those different demographics as well. You've got the Fsi User Community. So if you are a Facebook user, that's just a community of all of our SmartSuite-Library and TV for Education users. They're going and asking questions. We're doing pre-release stuff directly to that Facebook group. So any of our new facilities, new features, they get pushed out to the Fsi community before everyone else. And we also have events that are happening there that we are not releasing to anybody else except for users on the Fsi User Community. Last year, for example, we gave away a couple of iPads, Galaxy tablets, JB Hi vouchers, and Gold Class movie tickets to users that were on the Fsi User Community and engage with us in some way, shape, or form. So make sure that you do set yourself up with a Facebook account and join us over on the Fsi User Community. Last but not least is our quick start guide. It's a printable version of all the instructions for what we believe a new user would use within the first 6 months of using SmartSuite. Okay, so we've formatted specifically so you can print this off, but it's got everything from importing from SCIS right across to setting up security, changing loan limits, creating support tickets, etc. Okay, so you can jump over there, download that. You may want to bookmark it to your browser so that if you're wanting to just refer to something, you can do that. Okay, all of that is available through that support option under system menu. So as far as our training for SmartSuite-Library new users goes, that's about as much information as we wanted to go through today. As I said, upcoming on the YouTube channel, we have advanced user training sessions as well as mini series focused on specific features throughout the system. So things like how do I manage ratings and reviews? How do I set up my reservation limits? How do I control it a bit better? That's all coming up on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, make sure that you do hit the bell, and we're going to be able to interact with you on that platform. If you've got any questions, please don't be strangers. We are there to help. You've got the concierge service and you've got the mailbox tickets. Reach out to us, jump over to the Fsi User Community. There's tons of ways that you can communicate with us. My name is Quentin. Thank you so much for attending today. I'm going to stay online for a little bit longer. If you've got any questions, chuck them over in the chat console. I'll stay and answer those for you. If not, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next time on one of our YouTube experiences. See you later.